Welcome to Skill Sprint with me, Chris Webber. This video is a quick highlight reel of my latest episode of the Commercial Edge podcast. I use my notes and scribbles from the full-length conversation to pull out what I feel are the headlines and lessons from my most recent expert guest. Drawing on my experience, this video gives you all the key points without the stories. My hope is that you can use these tips and tricks to unleash the power of your people. So we just recorded our second episode in the series on accountability and had a really interesting conversation with a completely different personality. We had Andy Hay, who is a theatre director and TV director, and he was talking about his life and his experiences. I mean, the truth is he started out as a rebel. He ended up in teaching college because he didn't get the grades he wanted in his A-levels. And 3 years later, he's head of drama at a secondary school. I mean, talk about a transition from being, a rebel to being a teacher and being responsible for education. But there's so many lessons in that. And his journey through life was about really connecting with different types of people and really being a people person. That was my biggest message from this, was that he's a people person. And so we talked about his life and what's inspired him and what, gives him this sense of accountability. And the truth is that in his industry, as he talks about it with such passion and such commitment, it's about audience. It's about the joy of the audience. And that's a huge takeaway from me. It unites everybody in a theatre. Everybody in a performance is focused on giving the audience an amazing night. And even if there is like 10 people in there, and he tells a great story about his experience of almost no one showing up, that they still focus on great performance for the audience. And it's not about how much money we're going to make. It's not about the product. It's about bringing joy to people. And I think for business, that could be huge. That when you take accountability for your customer experience, for them getting the best from working with you, that is completely different. And the other thing that he talked about in depth was the respect for the people and everybody who's involved in creating greatness. It's not just about the stars of the show. It's everybody. And if they don't do the job to the best of their ability, it can spoil the experience for everyone. It can spoil the product. And don't we know the same? Some of the least trained people in our organization are those who deal with most of the customers, customer services people, frontline staff. They get the least investment often, and yet they're the people who are our business to our customers. Do they feel accountable to that? Does that run through the organization right to them so that they really care about giving great customer experience? Because in the theatre and in TV, they do. And I think that mission can inspire us all. So I asked him, okay, well, how do you inspire others? How do you get other people in your team to have the same level of accountability that you have for the audience and for performance? And he talked about nurturing enthusiasm, that people come with a passion to do a good job. And there's a really lovely story about someone who's a graphic designer really mattering about, taking attention to detail and him nurturing enthusiasm. And I think in businesses, we kill enthusiasm. People come to our organizations with commitment and passion and really wanting to do an amazing job. And then with our lack of support for them, lack of attention to them, making them feel small, making them feel unworthy, unwanted, we pour water on that. And of course they don't care. And of course they stop caring. And then they leave the business and then they leave the organization. How many of us as leaders nurture enthusiasm in the people that are around us and take the time to make them feel important? His tips were about communication. Nothing new there. But when you think about it, in terms of nurturing enthusiasm and nurturing the mission of commitment to excellence, it's different. And he was talking about, do people really understand what is needed? And do you use different channels of communication to be able to communicate your message to them? So some of it's email, some of it's face to face, some of it's conversation. Are you making people feel important? Andy was talking about the fact it used to take him 45 minutes to leave a theatre because he had to speak to everybody. He really communicated with everyone. He really wanted to engage with everybody. And also, he talks about the fact that people need to be able to feel that they can ask questions. Now, this stuck with me. Why do you want people to ask questions? And the answer is because you want them to care about what happens next. And if they don't care, they're not going to ask questions. And if you stop them from asking questions, you're stopping them from caring. Any leader who doesn't nurture a curiosity from people who say, I want to check the detail on this so that I can get it right, is killing enthusiasm. That, to me, is a huge takeaway. That encourage your people to ask questions and be clear about what's expected, because it tells you that they care about what they do. Real accountability there. Really looking forward to our next episode to hear another angle on accountability. It's turning into a really curious and fascinating and actually quite exciting series.